Welcome to another episode of my silent season brought to you by Intimacy with the King. And as usual, your host, Emanuela Uijatalo. Thank God for another episode. I thank God for the last episode. I also want to thank our special guest, Pastor Damilola Emmanuel, PD for short, for honoring us with his presence. Thank you, PD, for coming. It means a whole lot. Thank you so much. God will bless you. Today is a special day for me because I have a special guest. I know I will say that all my guests are special, but if you know me on WhatsApp and on Instagram, you will know this guest because I am always talking about her because I know how amazing she is. We've been friends for close to 20 years now. Very soon. Okay, yeah, we've been friends for almost 20 years. So it's okay to call her my best girl. I'm excited for her to share her stories. I've been privileged to watch her and experience some of her silent seasons, and I like that she would share some of them with us today. There is no my silent season without bringing my close people, on this show to share their stories. With so much excitement in my heart, let's welcome. How about I just allow her introduce herself? Oh yeah, introduce yourself.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, morning, wherever you're watching from. My name is Nwosu. I'm a human resource consultant. Also a mom of 3. What else is there about me? I used to be a book lover. Maybe I still have it in me. I love to edit books, read books with children, read books with as many people as are interested. I love to sing as well. I'm just there. That's basically me in 1 minute, if I'll put it that way.
Just say it again. You're a mom of what?
A mom of 2. A mom of 2. Oh my God.
The Lord is speaking. Wow. Nice to meet you. Anyway, so you know why we're here, right? Would you like to, in your own words, share with us your silent seasons, and just inspire us?
Inspire us. Okay, first of all, I want to start with saying I'm so proud of you. You already know how I feel about that. I mean, if you're out there and you want to get something done, to be honest, to do things like this is difficult. You can have the ideas and all that, but to actually put it to life is huge. So I'm really proud of you. I am grateful to God for this season, and I trust God to do the work He wants to do with this platform. My silent seasons. So, how do I describe? So for me, silent seasons or a silent season can mean a time when everywhere is quiet. Everywhere is quiet. You are quiet. Your spirit is quiet. God is quiet. Like everything just seems to be on an abrupt stop. You don't know what's next. You're just there. Like, okay, what's going on? And I've had a couple of those in my life, and I think I'm even still in one at the moment. I don't know how very explicit I want to be in this video, but maybe I should share a few. Off the top of my head, I'm just thinking, what should I share? But okay, so maybe I'll share. So I've had silent seasons in different aspects of my life. One of which would majorly be career-wise. I studied mass comm in school. When I went to school studying mass comm, I planned to do broadcasting because I love to share, I love to talk and all that. That was my plan. But when you go to school 100 level, you do a lot of courses so that guides your final decision as to what you want to be in. And then I did brand management courses, and I absolutely loved it, and I excelled at it. And I said, you know what, broadcasting, we can always do that. I mean, there's internet, we can have our YouTube channel and things like that. So let's do this serious one. And it was fun. I enjoyed it, and I did it all the way, came out with good grades and all. And it was like, as soon as I came out of school, my life just started going like this, just on a speed. I wasn't completely thinking. I was more of nervous. Okay, you're coming out of school. What next? You can't hold back. You can't wait and all that. You need to, and then you're coming out with good grades. You can't come out and just be there. You can't be average. You can't be, all that pressure. And I was just making decisions all the way. I hardly paused to think, where is my life going? What's the big plan? I had a big plan, but I didn't put plans to lead me to that place, And I got to a point where everything was on hold. Like, okay, do we want to be here? All of a sudden, I found myself doing HR. The brand management I loved. I did not even smell it.
Welcome to HR, by the way.
Thank you. The brand management I loved. I did not even smell it. I didn't even try to. And I give different reasons why or why not. But at some point, everything just felt wrong. I just felt, what's going on? Okay, why am I even here? How am I doing HR? So what's this about? And after everything, coming out from school with good grades, the vision I had for myself at that point in time, where I was, didn't look like it. And I wasn't even sure what the next step would be, if the next step would take me to, where I wanted to be. And it was a hard place to be because there was a lot of uncertainty. I was unsure. I didn't know what I deserved anymore. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just supposed to be there, average, not that picture that I had in mind at first. And a lot of other huge decisions were happening at the same time. While I was still yet to figure out my career, marriage came along. And marriage is huge. Marriage came along. While marriage was happening, childbirth came along, and everything like that. So for a long time, and I can't tell you, to be honest, I can't even tell you that I have it figured out now. But maybe as we talk on, I will tell you the difference between me now and me at that time. But at that time, it was just a lot of tears. It was a lot of, God, what's happening? Where do I go from here? And it almost felt like I wasn't even hearing God. I didn't know what God was saying as to this work-wise. And maybe now that I think about it, I want to ask myself if I was actually conscious to ask God, what's next? I know brand management, that's my thing. That's what I wanted. I also love people a lot, and that's why I'm even in the HR space in the first place. Not like I just ran into a random. The way life had happened, it all happened in line with what I was passionate about. But I don't know now if I actually really sat down with God to say, how far, what's next here? And even up until now, some days there are still, that doubt of, should I still go back to mass comm? Should I still go and am I still passionate about brands? People have tried to walk me through it. Am I passionate about brands? Am I passionate about people? What is it that you really want to do? And when I ask that question, sometimes I still hear silence. I still haven't figured that out. But like I said, there's a different me now in that space than who I was before. So that's for career. Hama, there were many spiritual silent seasons. I thank God. I mean, now I look back at my life, there's been a lot of growth. But there were times when spiritually, we were not there. We're not hearing God. And at some point, we're not, for me, silent seasons are, this is what it's supposed to look like. And I see myself very far from it. And I am clueless as to if we're going to get there, how we're going to get there. So spiritually, I love God. I really love him. And I always want to spend time with him. I want to do stuff for him. But many times the things we want to do, we don't find ourselves doing it. And those were some of my silent seasons with God. Like all of a sudden, praying was becoming a chore. I wasn't hearing. Some of my people will come and say, and God said to me, God told me this, and I'm like, okay, success. Where are you?
Where's the God?
Where are you?
He's telling everybody.
Is it that God, is that I'm not rich, or like why can't I hear for myself? Why can't I hear? A lot of that has been sorted out now. Like I said, growth has happened, but I've had several of those in my life. Marriage. My dear, that thing they say about the first few months of marriage, I'm a living witness. I'm putting it out there to you. I don't know. Some people it may not happen to everyone that way.
Yeah.
Your first few years of marriage can be bliss. I see a lot of those testimonies online, and it's been an amazing 1 year. It didn't start that way for me. When I started, it was a very rocky start. A lot of tears was involved. And I say, God, how far? Do you know when I started praying for my marriage? Since maybe I was, 12, 13. That's when I began to actively pray for my marriage. So I had a vision, again, back to that thing about a goal and disparity between where you are and what it's supposed to look like. I had in mind what I wanted my marriage to look like. Alas, I entered the marriage and it looked like a mirage. I started crying. I cried a lot. I was like, God, how would you allow me walk into a mistake? After all these years of praying, I am not a prayer answering God. All the things I told you about, all the things, why? This is not what it's supposed to look like. And now, we've sorted things out. My husband, now I look back at it, I can't imagine how he was feeling at that time. Because we differ in this situation, such that I'm sure he's like, oh my God, I'm glad I married this girl. Wow. Me, on the other hand, no pride. No, I'm not being, not. Yeah, but me, on the other hand, I'm like, what is this? This is not what I planned for. This is not what we bargained for. This is a mistake. This. And it went on for months. I felt guilty. I felt like maybe there's some things I didn't do right. I still say it till today. Maybe if I had held back, if I had waited a bit, I didn't hear God well, things like that. And I'm like, where do I go from here?
So just hold on a bit, right? So I hear you, and I know you still have other things to say as regards your story. But I just have a very quick question as regards this early marriage thing, right? So would you have said that your few months in marriage was a learning curve for you to properly position you where you are now in your marriage, or it was something that you needed to grow into? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
It was a learning curve for me, but I think it's just part of the life. It's part of the marriage life. You're coming into a new space. You're coming into a new space. You're just knowing this person a little bit more intimately. So maybe it was necessary for us to go through that, or maybe not. But when we look back at it, or when I look back at it, there are a lot of things I would have done differently that may have toned down some of the issues I had in marriage at that point. It was an issue of expectations. I walked in with a lot of expectations. Like I said, I had a goal. I've been praying for this thing for years now. So for me, with time, and to be honest, those months is not what has brought me to where I am now. That's it. I don't think it has too much to do with that. You grow. Yeah. I'm even still till today. Of course, I'm a lot. Like I said, I'm a lot better. And you said early marriage. Did they know that I marry early?
No, early stage in your marriage.
Okay.
But so, yeah, she married early, just later.
What is early? I was 24. 24 is not early. When people are marrying at 18, 19.
I most likely married at the age of 30, 31.
But that's not that was not early. Yeah. But I don't know if that's it still takes time. When I make mistakes, it's counting. When these things happen, you learn, you grow, and you keep growing. with time, I had to give myself a lot of. So I had to come to that place. One day I just sat with God and said, okay, I'm done. I'm done with the tears. I'm done with the regrets. I'm done with. So where do we go to from here now? Because at this point, there's no going back. I'm not going to divorce my husband. He's not going to divorce me. And I'm not ready to live in utmost sadness. So where do we go from? You know, it was a situation of some days I'm like, oh, this was the reason why you wanted me to marry this man. Some other days I'm like, you just allowed me. I walked into a mistake. This was a wrong choice, you know. So all that drama, and God is just like, I mean, like, so you feel like after all these years of entrusting yourself into my hands, you feel like I would just let you walk into a mistake that way. I had to get to that point where I knew God had my back. It was nothing I did wrong. I could have done certain things better, but if he still allowed for me to be in this space, then I should trust his plan if I had put it, you know, to him up until this point. So those months, they're part of who I am now. Yeah. Because I was able to identify what were the issues then with me and the situation at that point, and how to come out of it. And that's what has made me the person that I am, and how confident I am now in my marriage and all that. So, well, that time was pretty difficult. It was a pretty difficult time. I was still figuring out career, and then now this marriage and all that. So it was a hard one for me. It was a hard one for me.
Back to your stories.
Yeah, so that's marriage and all that. And maybe the most recent, my baby, my second baby to be precise. We wanted to space, but not space too much. So by the time my baby was my first child, by the time she was one, and then I'd already had the first miscarriage. And then we said, okay, let's start trying for the second one. Oh yeah, now we try. Try was difficult. And then when we now eventually get pregnant, we lose the baby. So again, I'm like, what's going on? Is it one child I'm supposed to have? That was not the plan. That has never been the plan. Even me as a single, I wanted 2 kids. By the time my husband came into the mix, we wanted 3. So what's going on? Why am I in this space? Why is this happening? And then when I eventually sought medical help, and they were telling me, they told me my body was rejecting my babies. I'm like, that just sounds very demonic. That just sounds very wrong. Like, something is supposed to be a blessing. God blesses you with something, and your body is saying, go away. You're not. No, we can't have that, you know. But for a while, it was difficult. And, you know, sometimes God allows us go through these things so that we better understand when we see people in that position. Yeah. I know it's hard for people who are trying to have a baby, but it's on a different level when you have been there. You step into the mental state of those people. And so it wasn't great. Every month, you're hoping not to see your menses, while some other people are praying to see theirs. This life is funny. And then when you see your menses, it's more of tears. Like, oh my God, I don't need you. I want to run a pregnancy. When your hormones become funny, your days are late, and you're like, oh my God, is this it? Is this it? 2 days after, menses will show up. You're like, we're back here again. You know, so at that time, you're like, and you know, when you get married, you can't just make decisions. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. Okay, so we're going to give birth. We're going to, at this point, maybe you can step back from work, or you plan to maybe step back from work to take care of your kids. Let's have our kids back to back, as most people will say. Back to back, you have resigned work. Baby is not coming. What do you do at that time? Okay, so where do I move to from here? Would they take me back at work? What if I resume work and I get pregnant immediately? Will I resign? So yeah, that was a huge silent season for me. Before I was told this is what was going on, this is possibly what was going on medical wise, I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand what was happening, why this is happening, why am I having delays in taking in, and then when I take in, why am I having miscarriages? But as soon as light came as to this is possibly what is going on, I said, okay, I have something to take to God.
Yeah.
And which is something that I have learned, you know, with this whole medical and religion. Oh, should we? I prefer sometimes that you have answers. Oh, they say it's COVID. Okay, Lord, COVID. As against what's happening, Qatar is doing me, my head is like, no. So these people have said, okay, this is possibly what is going on. So yeah, God, this is the name. And you say you're giving a name above every other name. This is the name of this illness. Let's deal with it. And that was the approach I used once I realized, okay, this is what medically they were saying. And then I had something to present to God. So those were serious times for me, but thank God for where we are today.
Yeah. In all of these your silent seasons, what would you say was most challenging for you? You can just one thing that was most challenging for you in all of your silent seasons.
Just making sense of what was going on. Too confusing. Like I said, for me, this is my personal, I don't know how it works for every other person. For me, most times is, this is what is supposed to be. Why? And this is where I am. The disparity, the gap is too far. So where do we, just making sense of the whole thing. Why is this happening? Where do I go to from here? Where there's no sense of, what's the word now? Vision. You don't know where to go to from there. That's the most, you're just in a limbo. What's going on with you? Sometimes you're not even interested to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to. I'm just there. In fact, there was time I said that a lot. I'm just there. I don't know, where do we go to from here? What's the... And that took a huge toll on me. It took a huge toll on my self-esteem. The person I used to be in school. If people who knew me in school, they see me now, like this. And this is because of these experiences, you know, the tolls they had on me, because there were lots of times that I didn't know what I needed to do. A lot of, I don't know what to do. A lot of, I'm just there. And some of those times, two things happen. Is either I'm not hearing God, or two, I'm not even going to ask him. Such that my prayer life is cold. Like, let's just be living. I'm not interested in praying. I don't, you know. So I'm not even, me and God were not there. Or I'm praying and I'm asking and I really want to hear, but I feel like I'm not hearing. We have grown. What I was expecting to, what I was referring to as hearing at that time, if I know what I know now, I would have heard. Yeah. You know, but at that time, no. So it was just basically making a sense of what was going on and knowing what to do, basically.
If you were to replay all of the silent seasons and the ones that you did not share as well, if you were to replay all of these things, what would you have done differently?
Yeah, so I'll talk to God a lot more. I'll trust his process. One huge lesson I've learned, and I think you see that as a recurring theme in this silent season episodes, is there is a place you come to with God. And I'm not apologizing, but I'm a person of faith. So God is the center of everything that I do. So that's why I'm talking a lot about God. You know, there's a place you get to in knowing that God is a good God. Knowing personally. Yeah. There's just so when you get to that place, it guides every other thing that you do. You know, some of the questions you ask yourself, you won't ask yourself those questions anymore, because you have a knowledge of this God that you're dealing with. So all that time of guilt about walked into a wrong marriage, or perhaps I shouldn't have taken that job at first, it has sidelined me, I've moved out of God's purpose. I didn't even talk about my spiritual purpose. We're still on that journey itself as to what am I supposed to, you know, when you feel God has called you to so much. I'm still yet to figure that out. Growing up, I used to be a very enthusiastic person and all that. I knew that God had a purpose for me. Recently, I think just 2 days ago, I was praying, and then God reminded me of when he saved me from the fire when I was a baby. And then I just asked God, I said, so there was a reason you saved me from that fire. I'm right now, as I'm sitting out here, am I there yet? Has that purpose for which you saved me, has it? And the blatant response was no. And possibly some of the turns I've taken in my life has delayed, me getting to that place where I want to be. But better, now that I know him better and where I am now with him, if I just knew that God is a good God. Even when I take certain turns, he has a way of bringing it back to his will. He would have directed some of the energies I had, some of the thoughts I thought about myself, some of the questions I was asking myself that made me literally sink in, that it began to scar my person, began to scar me. I couldn't recognize who I was in comparison to who I used to be. So knowing of God is a good God, he has my life, and continually just submitting myself to him. Okay, this is where I am. Take.
So if maybe because to an extent I have a background knowledge of something, I'm trying to get you to say it. I'm not saying it myself. So if you were to talk about going back to doing things better, what were the things? Because I know there was a time that you were actually searching for God. You would ask me questions like, you want to know God more, that there's this relationship you're supposed to be having with God, you're not having it. You were just literally searching for God. And even the Bible says that if you search, you literally will find. Right? So just mention one thing that you had to do constantly and very well, that you sort of found you found the path to finding God. Because it's still a journey to find, you found God, but there's this journey to know him more, right? But what was that one thing you did that has placed you on that path?
Okay. So first of all would be, grand of it all would be spending more time. And that is my mantra for anybody. There's an intimacy with God. You have to get intimate with him, and getting intimate with him is spending time with him consistently. That is the word. When I am not consistent to spend time with God, it's like I'm drained. So then I cannot hear God. That's when all this confusion, hey, where am I supposed to be? All those, exactly. And this is, if we have to be honest, when we're far away from God, that's when different thoughts you begin to see yourself less, but when I'm plugged in, when there's that constant communion, it's like I know what to do. I know how I'm fine. I'm okay. But once there's that gap, so I began to go to God a lot more consistently, spending a lot more time. I pushed myself a lot. I removed myself I punished my flesh, basically, enjoyment, all those things. I punished myself just so that I can get more of this God, know him more. But another thing I must say is the role that people played in my life during my silent seasons and leading up to where I am now. I think my best blessings will be people. God, at every point in my life where I've gone through a huge silent season, when I lost my brother and lost my very close family friend, it was people. God just sends people at that time. They say the right things. They answer the questions in my heart. I'm able to come back again to say, okay, God. I said, this God is amazing. That was around the time when I met EWC.
Yeah.
Before then, in fact, oh Lord, I'm reading lots of things and this video is getting long, but it's all right. Yeah, so I remember what you're referring to when you said there was time I was searching for God. The day I went to go and look for Pastor Bisola. Well, that day it was like,
even before that time and after
that day that I went to look for, it was like, if I don't find Pastor Bisola right now, it was like something was going to happen to me. My body was literally shaking because it was like my world was falling apart. But that's why I said people. Pastor Bisola came in. Through Pastor Bisola, I met EWC. EWC reminded me a lot of who I am.
So, but I thought I was the one that made you meet EWC. But it's okay.
My dear. EWC was met somehow, but yeah, it was through that. Yeah. So people, and then there was time Pastor Choma, my neighbor, came to my life, and boom. That was it. So there is don't isolate yourself. During silent seasons, even when things are fine, there are people who God strategically sends into your life part-time, and you want to hold on to them, and you want to listen to what God is doing and what God is saying through them at each seasons of your life. people have literally drawn me out, of each of those times. They've been strategic in leading me out of my seasons and holding me through, in those times when I struggle.
I think one thing that's very interesting about all you said, two things that actually stood out for me, amongst others. One is that God is a good father. And it's how interesting that from the first episode to the second episode, and to the third episode, second episode, and now to this episode, we're still talking about God being a good father. It was never planned. There was no background conversation about God being a good father with you or with any other guest. And also the other thing is intimacy with the king. And I don't know how it came out, but somehow, personally, for me, God has been directing me to why this is called intimacy with the king in the first place, right? And when you talked about having to spend more time and having an intimate relationship with God, and that's why I asked that question, so that people also know that you cannot have a spiritual relationship, you cannot have a great relationship with God without putting the work, without spending
Absolutely.
time. It's like you said, I watched you, fast, you did things, you stayed away from the things that sometimes I feel jealous. Now, wow, it's only you that know how to punish your flesh. All of us, we can enjoy with our flesh. But it brought you to the place that you are and taking you to the place that God wants you to be.
Amen.
So while you are watching this, there's a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely.
Again, Jesus is coming. I don't know why I'm saying it. I don't know if I said it before, but Jesus is coming. And I don't know if it was you I was telling, someone else saying that, I was going to share the scriptures with you, that God was sort of warning us that He's coming with fire. I was telling Dora yesterday, when I said He's not coming with anything, I said no, that God, it feels like God is not happy with us, and He's coming very soon, and He will not reduce the volume of the trumpet when it's sounding, literally. And it's not a case of I will spend time with God, it's a case of you should start spending time with God, right? No matter how terrible it is. When you say you're still going through your silent season, even before now we're sharing about, you're saying, what silent season should you share? You're also going through a silent season. I'm like, I am going through a silent season, right? We are literally all, I know it's not money matter. It's not money matter.
No comments.
It's just that I'm in a place where I'm like, wow, God. But then when I realized that the moment I keep on just asking God questions without praying, spending time with Him, I'm drifting away from Him. I shared one secret that I was doing one day. The devil is seeing an opportunity, a space to creep in.
Absolutely.
Dancing, breakdancing.
What's the word? All those people that take advantage of, what they call them? People that take advantage of opportunities. He's an opportunist. Yes, I call him that a lot.
And
give him the opportunity, he'll grab it.
So one day I said that the devil is not if there's anything that the devil is not, he's not a fool.
Absolutely.
Very smart, he's very strategic, and we literally need to be ×2. Yes, your baby is calling. we literally need to be ×2 of the devil, like way ahead of him. So what would be your last word for not last word in life in Jesus' name? Don't mind me. But what would be your parting words for those who are going through the silent season at the moment?
Okay. First is you're not alone. You need to accept that God is with you. And I'm saying this whether you are a Christian or non-Christian, God is a father to everyone and He's there. You can just acknowledge, that, Lord, I know you're seeing me in these times. I just need your help. I need your guidance to see me through. We'll always get out of a silent season. I don't think there's any silent season that lasts forever. You come out of it. There'll be new silent seasons, but it always, after the night comes the morning. Do you understand? So don't allow it to sink you in. Just submit yourself to God through the process. Let Him walk you through it. Bible says that He will walk us through the fire. Even in the fire, it won't burn us. So He knows that there will be times like this. He knows that there will be seasons like this. But He wants you to acknowledge that He is with you. His rod and His staff, they comfort you in these times. So acknowledge that, okay, it's okay that this is happening to me.
Yeah.
and I trust that you will walk me through it. Just guide me. Let every decision I make in this time, let it be in alignment with your will. Then I personally would also say that you should allow people a little bit more in. Don't lock yourself. We're tempted to, you don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to be there wallowing in your, like, that's your safest space. But I think that you should let people in. Discuss with someone, talk to someone about what's going on. Even if the person is able to even do anything about it. But you never know. You never know what someone's going to say that just brings you, that's that word that brings you out of it. Some other times talking about it helps you feel better.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we're made for in this life. We're connected to each other. Let people in, and you never know how God, works you out of that season through whoever it is that you share with. But basically, be rest assured that God is a good God. But that one I cannot tell you. You have to know it for yourself. That's what helps you in a season like this. What you know for yourself. And the only way you can find that is in intimacy with the King.
And also, I'm sure you wanted to say, but because I probably did not give you time. I think another thing you can do is join a fellowship, fellowship with people. I've seen you do that.
I always say that there's nobody. Let me not say I don't care, but the Christian, whichever Christian you are, you can't walk this Christian journey on your own. You can't walk this life journey on your own. You need people. And you see this fellowship thing, you may think is overrated. Oh, there's so much story going out there. But the truth is, when you are in the midst of like-minded people, clarity comes. You learn. There's grace in fellowship.
Yes,
to be honest, growth. You learn a lot when you spend time with people who are walking the same journey with you. You are picking up things. Before you know it, there are people who are strengthening you. There's sometimes when you don't even feel like praying.
Yeah.
And in that space, you're like, guys, help me. I'm not for me anything. I can't pray. Help me. You see people going on their knees for you. What else do you want? But the enemy wants to keep you away from that kind of energy. That's why he wants you to lock up in that time. So look for a fellowship. And commit yourself to it. Because some people join and they just stay. They're not active. They're not, but put yourself into it. Get yourself, know what is going on. Put yourself into it. And that's amazing. Most of my journey, most of where I am now, where I'm going to, is because of this community I have built around myself, spiritually and otherwise.
And you can join Intimacy with the King if you want to.
Yes!
Out there. Anyway, thank you so much for sharing your stories. Thank you for not sharing the ones that you did not share.
Who knows? Sometime in the future, you get. There's still a lot to share, but
yes.
Thank God.
Anyway, watch out for this girl. Sorry, mother of two.
I'm a girl, please.
Watch out for her. I know that there's so much that will come out of you.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for honoring my invitation, even if there was a lot of sea finish before you sat down here.
Did I have a choice? No. I ain't got no choice. So.
But thank you so much. I really, really appreciate. I obviously will not tell you in words how I appreciate it, but you
tell me in actions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for staying with us. Watching this episode. There's something that the producer will always say, that when women are on the show, it's a bit much longer. But then you know that the message is even, what's the word now? More deeper, right? So thank you for staying this long with us as we, as you heard my friend share our silent seasons. And I pray that the good Father, is becoming a team. And I pray that honestly, the good Father will continue to show himself great and good in your life. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's also going to be great if you share as well with people who you know are going through their silent seasons, or with your contact. You don't know who might need it. But please, please, please like, share, subscribe, and also drop a comment. Thank you very much. Bye. Till next episode.